We're live. Welcome to the Rome Show. Finally got you on. How you doing, Christina?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Well, good. I appreciate you for making time to come on the podcast.
Of course. Thank you for having me and being so flexible. I know we've rescheduled quite a few times on my account, so thank you again.
It's a part of it though.
It
Podcasting.
is.
Yeah.
It for sure
So
is.
right. So I like to interview other podcasters. Um, when did you exactly start podcasting, and how did you get into podcasting?
It's a great question. So I actually started my actual podcast, Why Not Be Authentic, this past February. But I started live streaming and really creating the brand, Why Not Be Authentic. It was July, August of last year. And really, it came to fruition. It's something I've always wanted to do, is to have like a TV show or podcast, but really advocating for mental health. I have a family history of childhood trauma, and honestly, as a parent now and in my 30s, it felt like a year ago in July, it just all came crashing while I was working, my corporate job. The depression, the anxiety, the ADHD, the perimenopausal. I had to have a hysterectomy young. So just all of it came crashing. And so I started really Why Not Be Authentic on TikTok, just going, if I'm going through this, then there's got to be someone else that's going through this and feels like they're alone, because it's hard for people to understand when you struggle mentally with depression or anxiety unless you've gone through it. And so with that, I just kind of found this community, and we grew. And because it grew so fast in a year, we're almost at 100,000 followers on TikTok in a year. I said, you know what? I'm going to start this podcast. So I LLC'd it. I did the application for the trademark, and then started the official podcast in February, season 1. And we're currently recording for season 2.
Super fire. That's very short, and that short timing. I mean, to get that amount of followers is pretty fire.
It is. I don't know. Honestly, I think not enough people talk about mental health. I think the people are starting to talk about it more, but I think it's something that a lot of us can relate to. Like I say all the time, it doesn't discriminate, right? It doesn't matter mental health struggles if you're rich or poor, if you're famous or not, if you're married or single, what your political affiliation is, what your sexual preference is, whether you're a parent or not. It doesn't discriminate. Anxiety, depression, there's over 200 mental health diagnoses. I think a lot of us can really relate to that. And I think that's how I think that's how it grew so fast.
Right. That's so true. And I feel like now, like podcasting is elevating more and more,
Mm-hmm.
and
It is.
like the mental health and like podcasts is needed right
It
now.
is. It is. And I feel like too, like, I don't know about you, but I never have time to watch TV, but I have time to listen to stuff, like while we're cleaning or while we're dry, whatever it may be. And so I just think this is a great way to use our platform as we grow, to help other people.
Right. It's definitely needed right now, and the way the world is going too.
It is, isn't it? 100%.
Yeah. Right.
100%.
And are you doing everything like on your own, or
Yes, which is why I'm struggling. I am. So I have a RN background, and so I'm a nurse by trade. And then I was a regional trainer and a senior therapeutic specialist selling infusions for breast cancer. So my wheelhouse is not this, not technology, not any of that. So I have been teaching myself from the beginning. I'm editing my podcast myself. I'm scheduling with no schedule assistant. Like I'm doing it all on my own, which is really hard. Do what? Can you hear me?
you can hear me? Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know. That was weird. It just cut off. So you were saying that about your like with your job and what you were doing.
Yeah. So I was a senior therapeutic specialist selling infusions for breast cancer, and then decided to do this. So I'm a novice at it big time, and really had to teach myself everything. I edit my own podcast. I do the networking to find people to be on my podcast. I mean, it's pretty much my marketing. All of it's all me. So I'm finding as it's growing, faster, which is really cool. It's not like going viral, but it's doing pretty well on our YouTube. We have over 500 subscribers now. And so I'm really excited about that. But what I'm finding is that I do need to do like a little facelift on my podcast, if you will, because, needing it to look more professional, I guess you could say.
Right. And like doing all the editing and doing everything by yourself, it's pretty good. I mean, I look at it as different levels of viral. So I feel
Yeah.
like for people like us, because I do everything by myself, that's pretty good. Like you said,
Thank
500
you.
subscribers.
Yeah, on my YouTube. I haven't looked today, but the last time I looked was a couple days ago. It was like 510, I think. 510.
Yeah, that's real good. And
Yeah.
I just hit 900 subscribers.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You gotta share with me your secrets, because it's when you put it all together on top of like life, it's a lot. It's fun though.
Yeah. It always keeps you busy too.
It does keep you busy. I'm trying to figure out like the newsletters. Like I want to do a newsletter. I started Discord, but I found really fast, like I have all these great ideas, but with only one person, you're like, okay, we got to kind of prioritize what's the good idea until we can get what I can do on my own until we can get to a place where I can get someone to help me.
Right. And like just me and you, there's a lot of podcasters like that. So
Mhm.
imagine if we had like the machine behind us.
Right?
Yeah. We'll be on a different scale.
It would be, yeah, so helpful. So helpful. But I'm excited that you and I got to connect, because we've been trying to connect now for, I feel like it's been since April.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was since my niece's son, her 2-month-old son, passed away unexpectedly in April in Haven. And ever since then, that's kind of when things kind of got a little hectic. So she moved in with us. And so, and on top of, launching the podcast, advocating for mental health, we were doing a lot of healing and grieving, I would say, in our own house as well. So it's been a year, as I know it has been for a lot of people.
Right. And sorry that happened. And
Thank you.
speaking of that, how do you balance in between like yourself, your kids, your husband, and that situation, and like, running your business? How
That's
did
a
you
great
balance?
question. I don't feel like I was balancing it well. I think I really felt like I was just honestly like trying not to drown, like treading water. My niece moved in with us, and really just trying to help her navigate through the grieving process, but also navigate the grieving process with my kids, because they don't understand, and then making sure they're still doing their sports and having as much as a normal routine as possible, And I'm going to be honest, it's been difficult. And I have not prioritized myself like I should have been doing this past year. Because like I said, I think I was just trying to hang on and make sure everybody else was surviving and doing well. And it's been a big learning curve for me, because, what do they say? If you can't help someone else if you're not helping yourself, right?
Right.
So I've had to have a lot of reflection lately, and, going back to therapy. I'm a big advocate of therapy. I say if it doesn't work for some people, then maybe you just don't have the right person, right, for the therapist. But I think that and my faith in God is honestly what has kept me going. But I told my husband yesterday, I said, I'm not going to close this chapter. I'm closing this damn book and I'm starting a new one. It's time to just get on a whole new level, So
Yeah, it's hard. And like to get like a full balance, it takes time.
it does take time. And I really have, like, I think that's the hardest thing is, when something like this tragically happens unexpected, it's always unexpected, and it's tragic. And, it's hard for people to go back to whatever they were doing, raising a family and doing their full-time job and stuff. And this was starting to go. I just launched the podcast when Haven passed. And so I felt like it was a really soft launch just because it overlapped with each other. And at that time, I wasn't able to focus on this like I wanted to because we were just trying to pick up the pieces,
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
And back to like doing everything on your own, like dealing with the life stuff and like your husband, the kids, and balancing everything. It's hard. How hard do you think it is? Because I feel like a lot of people don't know how hard it is.
It is very hard. I would say it's very hard. And for that, and I think we as human beings tend to be a little harder on ourselves in our mind. And so my advice to other people that are juggling all of it, like, you are not alone. It's just not everybody talks about it. I promise you, we're all juggling. We're all striving to I'd say put one step in front of the other and just keep moving forward. But you're not alone. And I think, thank God for my husband, communication is key to make it work, because if you don't communicate and really get to understand each other and not fight around your kids, it's much easier than if you don't have that balance with each other, if that makes sense. But you're not alone, guys. You are not alone, because it is tough.
Right. Very tough. I mean,
Yeah.
like, making the content, finding what to talk about, recording it, editing it, promoting it, the marketing, just like everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you, luckily, I've been having PR agencies like reach out to me. So I'm entertaining the idea to see, there's always, like, I think the cost that comes with that, but I look trying to just figure it out, because at the end of the day, like, you have to market yourself or it's not going to be successful. It's just what's the right way that's going to be strategic, efficient, and cost effective,
Yeah. How do you feel about podcast communities? Are you a part of one?
I am not part of a podcast community, but I very much want to be a part of a podcast community. I think it could be very beneficial, especially for those of us that have done it for years, those of us that have not done it as a novice, because we can bounce ideas off each other and just really learn and grow from each other. Like, part of my question starting out was what platform is the best one to edit on, and how do we get it on all the channels, and what's the best Ring camera or the best, camera and microphone and all that stuff. I think it would be super helpful to have like a podcast community. I've been getting on Threads more, but not super consistent. And I'm finding more of a community there. Have you noticed that?
I've been seeing it. I was thinking about trying it, but I haven't tried Threads yet.
It's very, it's great networking. Like, a couple of my podcast guests have been from Threads. So it's very good for networking. Are you a part of a podcast community?
No, but for like the past year, I've been trying to make one. Like, find like
We
people
should
like
make
me and
one.
let's do it.
We should totally do it.
Yeah, we like once a month have a meeting, get other
Yeah,
people to join, share ideas, help each other.
I think that'd be awesome. I would love if I could ever get in touch with, like, Bobby Altoff. She was on
Yeah.
TikTok. Okay. I like her, for example, just what she started on TikTok, growing that following, and now going to podcasting. Like, I would love to have a guest, like, if somehow one of us had the connections to get a guest on those meetings to say, so this is how it started, this is what resources I used, this is how I think it was so successful. I think that'd be super helpful too.
Oh yeah, that'll be real good.
Yeah. And I think if we get enough of our people, in the community, then I feel like one of us are bound to have those connections that can get us somewhere,
Yeah, it's like everybody has different resources. Just might
Yeah,
as well
yeah,
connect them
exactly.
all.
Exactly.
Yeah, we could definitely work on that.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea. I think that's a good project for the new year.
Right.
After the holidays.
Gotta make it happen.
Yeah, for sure.
So your podcast is on like YouTube, Apple Podcasts, iTunes.
So it's
Spotify.
it's on YouTube and Spotify. I just got on the platform Podbean, and so I'm working on getting it on the other platforms. I just found out about Podbean like a couple weeks ago, so I was like, this is how we do it. Okay, another podcaster told me about it, and so my plan is to get that with it, maybe this week, next week, hopefully this week before the kids get out of school and get it all on all the streams. Now, do you do Podbean or well, this is StreamYard?
That's this is StreamYard. Like so this is like a streaming platform.
Okay.
Yeah. So the one I use for to distribute on every platform like
Mhm.
iHeart, Apple, Spotify, I use Spotify for creators.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So before that it was called Anchor. And you would upload like one episode and it would
Uh-huh.
distribute it for you to everything. It's like 7 different platforms.
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's cool. So that's what I need to do. I created my account with Podbean and I uploaded all my episodes thus far, but now I got to work on getting all that done. And then I just found out, looking at my YouTube, I have not submitted my podcast on there for the RSS feed. And apparently that's something you're supposed to do for podcasting. Did you know that? I
I
didn't
don't
know that
even know if I
either.
did that.
So every day that I have it, or not every day, but the chances that I get to go, especially on like YouTube, to go to the YouTube studio and try to figure, like I find something new every day. So I haven't done the RSS feed yet because I don't really know what that means. So I got to figure it
Right.
out.
Got to look into it.
Yeah, I'll keep you updated.
Yeah. So yeah, so Spotify, I think they bought Anchor, turned it to Spotify for creators.
Okay.
And yeah, and it shows you like all your analytics and everything. It's
I do
pretty
love
dope.
the analytical aspect of things because I am a very analytical person when it comes to data.
Yeah,
But yeah,
shows you
so
everything.
is that the same thing as Spotify for podcasters?
No, I think it's all connected though, but
Okay, because
it's different.
I think I do go through Spotify for podcasters
Okay.
for just Spotify. So before I was just going to YouTube and I was going to Spotify, and then I figured out like a couple weeks ago. So now Podbean is my next project.
Oh, so you use Spotify for podcasters to upload it on Spotify, and then you use the Podbean for the other ones. Okay.
Well, that's my
So
plan.
the
We're gonna see how
okay.
that works.
Yeah. So yeah, so you'll figure it out. It'll get on all the platforms. And then
hmm
you have any merch out or anything like that?
No, I have had people ask me about merch. So I did trademark why not be authentic. I haven't the logo I haven't done anything with, but because it's a phrase, I was like, okay, trademark, and I think we're good. It's officially trademarked. So that's something I want to do. I have looked at like the different platforms of how to do your merch and kind of like diving in to like do my homework on it. And again, that was right before Haven passed, and then I have not looked at it again since Haven passed. So that's something that I would like to do for the new year. Do you have merch?
I have a couple hats, a couple
The
hoodies.
room. I love the hat.
Yeah, trucker hats. I'm trying to build it all up more. Get like jackets, hoodies, sweatpants, socks.
Yeah.
You know,
What
cups, the whole
platform do
nine.
you use? Or what is there like a something you use locally or something you use on the internet to get it all done?
So I order the hats separate, plain, and then I'll go to like a little shop and they design stuff.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, that's something I need to do. And I want to get a decal like for my car for the podcast.
Oh,
But I haven't done
that'd
it
be
yet.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what's one thing that you haven't done yet with your podcast that you want to do?
Um I have not. So I still have not gotten on all platforms. So I've started that process. I want to do that. But I want to start doing podcast in person at some point in time with like a pod, like either I travel or people travel here Probably easier for people to travel here, but that's, I think, down the line.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say for now, getting it on all the platforms and getting, I want 1,000 new subscribers by the end of 2025. I think that's doable,
Yeah, that's doable.
right?
Yeah.
What about you?
Me, keep building a following and
Yeah.
keep having the show get like global.
Yes.
Yeah, like United Kingdom.
That would be really cool. We have friends in the United Kingdom. It's funny too with Threads. So the podcasters, I've had a couple podcasters from like Ireland and Australia, guests that, not podcasters, but guests that came on my show, and they're from Ireland or Australia, and they're from Threads. I got those connections from Threads. And so when I look at the analytics for YouTube, on my podcast, a lot of them are from like overseas because of the guests that we have.
Yeah, that's crazy. Mine's
Yeah.
too is like far out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is really cool.
right. Super fire. It's like
Yeah.
real far, like California,
Yeah.
Portland, Poland, far places.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
So, who's been like your most influential mentor or somebody that you watch
Jay
on a daily
Shetty.
basis? Jay
Jay
Shetty, he's
Shetty.
pretty good. He's
He
pretty good.
is amazing. I will be honest, he's probably the one that really got me years ago before I even did any of this. That was like, that's what I want to do one day. Like, he's just so inspirational, genuinely a good person. And he just is very smart, and his emotional intelligence is just on point. And I think he has helped so many people. And he's such a great mentor and leader, in my opinion. And I think we need more people like that in our world. And he's real, he's my favorite saying, real, raw, and authentic. He's real. So yeah,
Right. He's
I
mad
like
chill too.
He is, yes.
How do you stay motivated during challenging times?
My kids. My
Good
kids
one.
are the
Okay.
ones. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm human. There's times where especially this year, where it's just been so bad and I'm like, I just want to sleep. And that's okay. That might be your body saying, you know what, you just need to sleep. You need to get through whatever you're going through. Grief is a hard thing to go through. And so, but what has gotten me up and keeps me going and makes me strive to be better than I was yesterday is my kids and my faith.
That's a good one. Your situation that you were going through was real tough. What's like 3 things that you did on a daily to keep yourself pushing through?
That I did on a daily to keep myself pushing through. Praying. Praying, praying, and praying. I feel like that was the consistent. Praying, and I would say mindfulness. I've gone back to doing a lot of listening to mindfulness. I feel like that's really helpful, in affirmations.
Nice. How do you handle failures or setbacks?
If there's a failure or setback, I don't accept it, meaning I am like, okay, how are we gonna, like, I can't is not in my vocabulary. So if there is a setback, face it head on and just go straight through it. Just feel it, go straight through it, get through it, feel what you got to feel, go through whatever you got to go through, and then you got to keep going. But my best advice is just to go straight through it head on.
Right, full force.
Yep, full force.
Since you started like podcasting and running your brand so far, what's the most rewarding part of it?
People telling me how much I have helped them and saved their lives. And just when I think maybe I shouldn't do this, there's just too much going on at home in life, then it's like God telling me, nope, you're not done, because then I'll get a message. You have no idea how much you have saved my life this year, or you have no idea how much your talks have meant to me, and because I live stream on TikTok, how much that meant to me and how much that got me through the bad seasons, and you sharing what you're going through helped me know I'm not alone. And that's the most rewarding. And that probably is what keeps me doing it too, to be honest. Just when I think I'm done and then getting that kind of response, I think it's really good to know that I am helping, if it's not just one person,
Right. It's like an extra spark, like a
Yes.
battery charge.
It sparked, yeah. It adds fuel to that fire to keep doing it and keep going on, for sure.
Right. How do you handle work-related stress or any stress in general?
It's funny. I handle chaos very well. I handle calm not so well. And I think that's because since I was little, it was always fight or flight. So the older I get, the more that I'm realizing that if it's super chaotic, I'm good. If it's a little thing, that will set me off more than something super chaotic. So I'm learning to, again, meditate, mindfulness, pray, breathing, but every day I'd say it's a new challenge. It hits you different when you get older. Everything hits different as you get older, which I never
Yeah.
understood until like this season of my life.
Right. It's like for a couple years, like straight, you feel like weird, figuring things out, learning new things, and then
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. And just when you think you've learned everything, you're like, nope, let me teach you something else.
It's always something new.
Yes, always something new for sure.
And in your vision, how do you define professional success?
Professional success is, I would think, failing and getting up and going, okay, let me assess the situation. How did I learn from that? And changing it and growing. And I don't think that you can succeed without failing, but it's up to you to make sure, do I fail and just stop and feel bad for myself? Or do okay, I learned from that and let's keep going. In my opinion, that's success.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you really know I really appreciate you for doing this. We gotta do a part two.
We
And
do
we
need to
gotta
do a part two. I'll have a better,
yeah,
usually I have a better setup and everything, but like I said, it's been a crazy year. But my niece actually moved out this last week. So I think things are going to be a little easier going forward.
all right. So work on that podcast community
We
and then do a
will,
part two.
yes, for
And
sure. And thank
before
you again for being so flexible with me. I'm glad we were finally able to do it.
yeah, definitely. Me too. I appreciate it. But before we go, can you give a powerful message to young men and young women?
Of course. Yeah. I would say life is hard, and that's okay. And that's fair. And you're going to go through challenges in your life. But like I said previously, the way for you to succeed and grow is to go straight through those challenges head on. Don't give up. And just remember that the most important thing to do is to focus on right now, not yesterday, not 10 years ago, not 10 years in the future, but right now, because we're not promised tomorrow, but we can always choose to be better than we were yesterday.
Right. Good advice. And then how about one powerful message for like the older people? About
Older
30 and
people.
up.
Yes. Okay. So that's me. I would say don't let your childhood trauma and things you've gone through in your past define you and ruin your current time and place and your future. You can't change the past, but you can heal and you can work on the steps to get through the things that made such an impression on you if it was in the negative way. But the most important thing is to know that you survived. You're here. And always to take it one day at a time.
Good advice. Really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Definitely. Part two coming soon.
Yes. Can't wait.
All right. Peace.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Bye.
Peace.